Okay, so in this video I'm going to talk about indices, and we're going to have a look at the laws of indices, and I'll do some examples of where you would use indices, how the different laws work, and so on. So let's just start off with just defining what we mean by indices. Well, a number that's in index form will be in the form, say, b to the power of n. So for example, 3 to the power of 5, that's a number in index form. Or 2 to the power of 3, which is 8. This 2 to the power of 3 here is in index form. So the b part here is just called the base. So the 3 here would be a base, the 2 here is a base, and the 5, or the n, and the 3 here, they would be called the index, or the power, or the exponent. So we have the base, which is the b, the 3, or the 2, and then we have the power. It's also called the index, and it's also called the exponent. So it's just 3 different words for the same thing. So that would be the 3, the 5, or the n here. Okay, so let's have a look at the laws of indices. There are certain rules that you need to use when you're looking at doing calculations involving indices. So let's have a look at law number 1. Law 1. This basically says that if you have a to the power of p and you multiply a to the power of q, that will give you a to the power of p plus q. So in other words, if your base is the same, so we have a base of a and a base of a, and you've got two different powers here. Well, they don't have to be different, they could be the same, but they can be different. But the base must be the same, and you're multiplying these two terms in index form. You just simply add the powers. So for example, if you have, let's say, 3 to the power of 2 and you multiply that by 3 to the power of 3, that will give you 3 to the power of 2 plus 3, which is just simply 3 to the power of 5. So 3 to the power of 2 times 3 to the power of 3 is 3 to the power of 5. That's law number 1. Law number 2. Law number 2 then just states that if you have, say, a to the power of p and you divide by a to the power of q, that will give you a to the power of p minus q. So in this case you subtract the powers. Again, you have the same base here. The base is a, the base is a, the base must be the same. The powers again can be the same or they can be different, but you must subtract the powers. It's the top power minus the bottom power. So for example, again, say we have 3 to the power of 5 and we divide by 3 to the power of 2. That will give us 3 to the power of 5 minus 2, which is just simply 3 to the power of 3. That's law number 2. Law number 3. This is if we have a situation where we've got a base to the power of p again, so we have a to the power of p, and we're going to raise this entire term here to the power of q. So this is a power of a power, if you like. So this is a to the power of p q. In this case, you must multiply the two powers. So for example, in this case, if we have again 3 to the power of 2 all to the power of 4, this is just simply 3 to the power of 2 times 4, which is 8. So 3 to the power of 8. Okay, so that's law number 3. Let's move on. We'll look at law number 4. Law number 4 is if we have anything to the power of 0. So if we have a to the power of 0, we get 1. So anything to the power of 0 will always be 1. So for example, if you've got 10 to the power of 0, that's 1. If you've got 3 to the power of 0, that's 1. If you've got 1, 5, 0, 5, 1, 3, 6, 0, 1, 2, 3 to the power of 0, very big number to the power of 0, it's still only 1. Okay, so law number 5 is if you have anything to the power of a fraction. So we'll say 1 over p. A to the power of 1 over p is, you will have a here, and it will be the p root of a. So for example, if you have let's say 8, and we'll say that's to the power of 1/3, that is just simply the third root of 8, which is 2. 2 times 2 times 2 will give you 8. Or let's say we have 9 to the power of a half. That's just the square root of 9. So the 2 is actually here, but normally we don't put in a 2 here. It's the square root of 9, which is 3. So you've got to get used to, at this stage, instead of seeing the square root sign, you've got to get used to really seeing 9 to the power of a half as being the square root, anything to the power of a third as being the cube root, and so on. It's just a different way of writing exactly the same thing. Now the next law then is law number 6, and this is when you have a to the power of, instead of a 1 on top here, I'm going to say, let's say p over q. Okay, so now we don't have a 1 on the top, we have a number greater than 1, natural number greater than 1 on the top. The numerator is bigger than 1. So that's just simply, again, this, we had the denominator outside the root bracket, so I'm going to put the a in here. Whatever's on the bottom, put it here, and then the entire thing is to the power of whatever is on top here. So that's p here. Okay, so it's, you draw the root bracket, you put the base inside it, and then whatever is on the bottom, the denominator of your fraction here, goes outside. It's the qth root of a, and then the entire thing is to the power of p. Another way of writing that would be like this: a here, the q goes here. You can also raise this a to the power of p. So you can write it this way, or you can write it this way. You'll get the same answer. So for example, if you've got, again, let's say 8 to the power of 2/3. That's just simply 8. The 3 is on the bottom part of the fraction here, so the 3 goes here. It's the cube root of 8. And we can square that then. Whatever the numerator is, that goes outside here. We can also write it like this, of course. We can put the 3 here, the 8 here, and we can put the 2 here. We'll get the same answer. So in this case, the cube root of 8 is 2, and we square it. This is the 2. This 2 here is this 2 here. So the cube root of 8 is 2. That's where this 2 comes from. 2 times 2 times 2 will give us 8. And this 2 here is this 2 here. So 2 squared is 4. So 8 to the power of 2/3 is 4. Let's see, do we get the same answer if we do this? Well, 8 squared will give us 8 eighths 64. And we want to get the cube root of 64. And you will find that the cube root of 64 is just simply 4. 4 times 4 times 4 will give you 64. So we do get the same answer. So you decide whichever way you like to do it, you do it that way. Okay. So let's move on to law number 7. So law number 7 then is, if you have a to the power of minus a number, so let's say minus p, that's just simply 1 over a to the power of plus p. So you need to be able to, in questions that you get, you know, you need to be able to go this way and this way. You need to be able to see this and recognize it as being this, and this format as being this format here. So you need to be able to go in both directions. So for example, say you have, again, we've got 3 to the power of minus 2. That's just simply 1 over 3 to the power of plus 2, which is just simply 1 over 9. Or say, for example, if you work the other way, say you've got 1 over 4 to the power of 2. That's exactly the same as 4 to the power of minus 2. You can bring this up, just change the sign of the power on the bottom here. So you can work in both directions here. Okay, so that's law number 7. Law number 8. Let's see, law number 8 is, okay, so if you have a and you have that multiplied by b and you raise that to the power of, let's say, p, what you can do here, if a is multiplied by b, you can raise a to the power of p and b to the power of p. So in other words, you got a to the power of p, b to the power of p here. So for example, say you've got 3x and you want to raise that to the power of 2. That's exactly the same as 3 to the power of 2 times x to the power of 2. So that's just simply 9, 3 3s are 9, x squared. That's law number 8. Law number 9. Let's see, law number 9 is, let's say we have, here we had a multiplied by b, so here I'm going to do a divided by b, and I'm going to raise that to the power of p. So you do exactly the same thing. You raise a to the power of p and b to the power of p. So it's a to the power of p divided by b to the power of p. So for example, if you had a fraction, let's say 2 over 3, 2/3, and you want to raise that fraction to the power of, let's say, 4. So that's just simply 2 to the power of 4 divided by 3 to the power of 4. So you can work that out, and you know, you get your fraction. So there's the 9 laws of indices that that you'll need to use in questions. Now these are in the maths tables. They're on page 21 currently anyway. They're in your maths tables, so you can use them in exams if you need to. Okay, so they're your basic laws of logs, 9 or laws of indices rather. We'll do laws of logs later on, but these are your laws of indices. And what I'll do is I'll actually leave it at that at this stage, and I'll do some examples of how these are used in another video.